Coming up on the show, you'll meet a man-dan superstar who's a standout in 4 sports. He's going to play 2 in college. Plus, Tim Bergstraser on leaving MSUM for Division I Denver. Hot Mike starts now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome to the We Made Some Decisions edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, Good Morning in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, and Inforum.com. Happy Thursday, everybody. We're nearly to the end of the slowest sports week in the year. We're cruising, man. We've had top night shows. We got another one planned here this morning. Welcome to our show, everybody. I am Dom Izzo, host of said program. Welcome to Hot Mike on a beautiful Thursday morning. We're that much closer to the weekend, that much closer to the end of everything. Vikings players report this weekend. Heck, our guy Cam Miller officially reporting today. The Raiders rookies report today. So he begins his NFL job officially later today. Before we get rolling with the show, we have to go back and address the big talker yesterday on our program. For those that missed the show, first off, never do that again. Second, the dilemma yesterday, we had our annual station picnic yesterday here, which was tremendous. Shout out to all of our bosses that were the grill masters yesterday. Did a great job. But the dilemma for me was the event began at noon. I had a dentist appointment smack dab in the middle yesterday at 1:30. And I was lamenting on the air whether I should eat before going to the dentist, because knowing full well that they don't appreciate that. That's normally a faux pas. You're not supposed to do that. All that. Or wait and eat afterwards, knowing full well, not sure what the leftover situation would be. And granted, then it'll be about 2:30, and it was not great. And we got differing feedback on the show yesterday. Appreciate everyone that reached out. It was great. I decided the smell, first off, was too powerful to avoid, that I ate. And it was delicious, and I'm glad I did. Then I went to the dentist, and my hygienist, who's great, asked me, how's the day going? I said, well, you were a big topic on our show today. She's like, what do you, like what, do you hate going to the dentist? I'm like, no, nothing like that. Even though it's not my top 5 favorite place to go, I was explained that, again, the situation. And she asked me, so what did you do? And I said, well, I ate. And she says, I'm glad you did. I'm glad, because we don't care about that. So there, at least for that specific dental office, just I'm laying it out there that maybe that's a myth, old wives' tale, however you want to describe it. That's not what we're looking for. Or at least she said, that's not what I'm looking for. So relief there, because it was definitely a concern heading in. I did floss before I left, but everything was good. As in the appointment, everything went okay. So we're good there. But just for future knowledge, for anybody throwing it out there, just so you know that you can do that and not face the wrath, apparently, of any hygienist or dentist, unless we're talking something like corn on the cob or anything like that. We didn't go down that road, but made out okay. So wanted to close the loop on the big story from yesterday. We got a fun show coming up for you here today. We're getting closer, as we mentioned, to the start of football season. I teased it yesterday. We're going to hit it today. we're going to hit 5 young Bison football players that have a chance to break out or break through in 2025. Some guys that have played, some sparingly, some maybe more than others. And these are the definition for me. You had to be a sophomore or younger, redshirt sophomore or younger to fulfill this list. That's coming up. We'll do that in just a little bit as well. You mentioned, I heard off the top, we'll have Tim Bergstraser join us. I'm really excited about that. We haven't had Bergie on since he left to take the job at Denver. Of course, he was a regular guest on our show throughout the basketball season. Now he's a Division I coach. He didn't lose my number, which was great. Didn't give me the Aaron Rodgers, hey, lose my number deal. He's going to join us coming up later because he brought nearly half his team with him to Denver and the Summit League. So that's a huge story getting ready for this upcoming basketball season. We'll chat with Bergie about that coming up later on in the show. Speaking of hoops, one thing still happening on the schedule. The WNBA regular season actually hit the All-Star break officially at about 9 o'clock last night. The Minnesota Lynx played their final game before the All-Star break yesterday afternoon at Target Center against the Phoenix Mercury. And they are rolling right now. They don't want the break, I imagine. With the way they're playing some good hoops, and they kept it going yesterday afternoon. They found out that Kayla McBride is going to be an all-star as well. Courtney Williams is going there. She drains a 3. Give the Lynx a 5-point lead. Alyssa Thomas is sensational. She beat the Lynx single-handedly last week in Phoenix. Knocks down the foul line jumper there. Put the Mercury up 2. Right now, Phoenix currently holds the second-best record in the WNBA. That shot from DeWanna Bonner. She had 11 points, cans a 3. Lynx, though, rally in the second half thanks to the future MVP. Nafisha Collier drives and scores there. Nifty move to the basket from Kayla McBride, who rightfully was named an all-star replacement yesterday. Collier drains a 3 in the corner. That put the Lynx up by 7. Nifty ball rotation there to find Williams in the corner 3. Put Minnesota up by 9. They pulled away down the stretch. Lynx win it 79-66. The final to get their 20th win of the season. McBride paced everybody with 18. Collier had a pedestrian day yesterday. 10 points and 5 rebounds. Courtney Williams with a couple of big threes. She had 12. And the Lynx maintain they'll head into the break with the best record in the WNBA at 20-4. They've been sensational through the first 2 months of the regular season. They will take a week off. The All-Star game is coming up on Saturday night on WDAY. The question now, will Caitlin Clark participate in it again? She was injured the other night. She actually is one of the captains of the team. Nafisa Collier is the other. They drafted their team last week. Question is now whether she will actually play in the game, which is in Indianapolis, which would be a massive letdown if she's not able to go. The three-point contest and skills challenge is on Friday. The game itself is on Saturday night, as I mentioned, on Channel 6. The Lynx will come back and play their first game out of the break, I believe, a week from Tuesday after that, against, again, the Chicago Sky, who they seem to play every other game. But good win last night there for the Lynx. Last thing before we set up the show, I got an email from the Twins, which always raises an eyebrow. Anytime we get that into the inbox, like, all right, well, what's going on? And this would seem like a long time coming. But the fact that the Twins have decided finally to hop on board and join the rest of the party that have patches on their jerseys. It was announced this morning that St. Paul-based Securian Financial will be the club's first official jersey patch partner, marking an historic multi-year expansion of a relationship built on shared values and long-standing partnership. That's from the email that the Twins sent out. So this is how it's going to look. It's going to be on all the jerseys beginning tomorrow night when the Twins are in Colorado to face the Rockies. That's how it's going to look on the City Connect jerseys, which they're nothing good there. the road jersey there, and then, of course, the alternate, the cream ones, which they should wear all the time. Now, this part, I guess you don't keep track of this. Some do. The Nationals struck a deal with AARP, which is, you can make a joke for yourself on that one. The Rockies partnered with York Space Systems. And now with the Twins with this deal, that only leaves the White Sox and Tampa as the only ones that do not have a sponsorship deal on their jerseys. So, again, when this started, and I believe the WNBA was the first to hop into the deep end on that, the NBA followed, and obviously other leagues have now said, hey, we can make money by putting patches on our jerseys. Let's go. That just, especially for a franchise like Minnesota that's trying to get money any way they can with their ownership deal completely mucked up as it is, this makes plenty of sense there. So that's how the Twins will look when they return to the Diamond starting tomorrow night. Again, you can lament it all you want, but this is where we're at in current financial deal in baseball and all professional sports, frankly, with needing any kind of sponsorship they can get. Now it's just left to the it seems fitting. The Rockies and the White Sox, the two worst teams in baseball over the last couple of years, do not have anybody that want to partner with them. But the Twins were able to do that. We'll find out, by the way, 2 weeks from today is the baseball trade deadline. We'll have Corey Provis on tomorrow from Denver to get us previewed for the second half of the season and what, if any, moves are coming from the Twins. Joe Ryan made some interesting comments about, we'll talk with Corey about that, when he was asked about the trade deadline. You can interpret that however you want. We'll get Corey's thoughts on that coming up on the show tomorrow. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Thursday morning. Looking forward to it. I mentioned we're going to do our Young Bison to break out in 2025. We'll do that coming up here in just a few minutes. Our guest lineup is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Ekren Miller will join us at 9:35. If you don't know who that is, he is now the new men's golf coach at North Dakota State. Longtime head coach at Bemidji State for the last 16 years. He's been the golf coach there. He coached one Ryland Petrie when he was at BSU before he transferred. Now he'll get to coach him again as a member of the Bison. That's coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, one of North Dakota's best young athletes, Hudsen Sheldon, with an E, will join us at 10 o'clock from Mandan, North Dakota. Hudsen, a standout in football, basketball, baseball, and track. 3-time All-State selection for Mandan. He's going to play football and baseball at UMary. He'll join us coming up at 10. At 10:35, Tim Bergstraser, as I mentioned, will join us now. D1 head coach after 3 years as the head coach of the Dragons, longtime assistant for Chad Walthall, now taking over the job at MSUM. He'll join us at 10:35 to chat about the first few months, getting some of his players to come with him to Denver, and what the transition has been like in anticipation of his first job as a D1 head coach. We'll do that at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on our show this morning. We're just getting started. We're glad you're joining us. Hot Mike returns after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KNBN, and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning show off and rolling. Beautiful day. What are we doing working? A couple things to update here. The Open Championship underway. I did not make it to the start at 12:30. Fell asleep before the first tee ball was hit. But conditions look awful over in England. Our guy Tom Hoagie is on the golf course right now. And when you scroll and keep scrolling, never a good sign. Been a tough day for Tom. Currently tied for 127th. Not last, but pretty darn close. Currently 7 over through 15 holes. Only 5 golfers are worse than him. Brian Newman, an amateur, shot 11 over. It started, actually made a birdie at the second hole and then couldn't get off the bogey train. You see bogeys there at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Went out in 42, made a bogey at 11, as well. He's parred here on the inward 9 with 3 holes remaining. Again, conditions are brutal out there. Leader in the clubhouse shot 4 under. 3 separate guys, including former U.S. Open champion Matt Fitzpatrick, shot at 4 under. But it's likely he's not going to be around for the weekend. At least again, conditions change there by the second, but not a great start for Fargo's own at the Open Championship after he made the cut at the U.S. Open a year ago, or the British Open the year ago. We'll keep our eyes peeled on that as the round wraps up. We'll see what happens there with conditions. Again, it's tough, which par for the course that happens over at the U.S. Open. Okay, I put this together, teased it yesterday on as we get ready now. We're into talking season. We got preseason polls out. Yesterday, the Big South Ohio Valley unveiled its preseason poll. We'll show that coming up here in just a little bit. Obviously, the Bison are playing 2 teams out of that conference here in 2025. Went through criteria here for young Bison players, and I define this as guys that have, maybe they've played a little bit, maybe they play quite a bit, but that are redshirt sophomore or younger on the Bison football roster that are potential breakout guys who could have really, really big seasons in 2025. So we went a little bit of everywhere here on this. So let's fire it up. We'll start with number 5, guy that has played a little bit over the last handful of years, missed quite a bit of time this past season. Now, he's already going to break the rule on he is older than redshirt. He's actually redshirt sophomore in terms of eligibility. It'll say junior on there. Is Kelton McCaslin, who enters 2025 as maybe potential guy to start at defensive end, knowing with the graduation of Loshaka Rokes, the retirement of Hunter Zenzen at that spot, this is a guy that can be a potential devastator. He played 9 games at defensive end, had 7 tackles last year, strip sack, fumble recovery, that's your C against Missouri State. Had a sack here against Mercer in the quarterfinals. Why that's important, he was finally healthy. Missouri State, that was the final home game of the regular season. Mercer, now we're into December. He missed all of fall camp after he got an injection in his knee to see where he could be. Keep that highlight reel going because he was an impact guy out there to the Bison defense a season ago. Now, you pair him on the end with Toby Annetta, and we know Toby is getting preseason All-America hype, and he's a known quantity. McCaslin has an opportunity to be that. 6'5", 245 is what he weighed in spring ball. I mean, interested to see what his weight is. And if he's healthy, this is a guy Bison fans have been longing for, the devastators at the defensive end spot. It's been a long time since Derek Tuska was racking up sacks. Braden Thomas did it in 2021, but didn't have the double-digit sack total. If the defense is, or the offensive line is focusing on Toby Annetta, this is a guy, if he's on the field, that can rack up sacks. His arm length, his ability to get to the quarterback, the potential to do that. So we got McCaslin in at number 5. Number 4, we go to the offensive side of the football for a guy that started last season as a redshirt freshman. We had complete questions at his spot heading into 2024. I'm like, all right, what would it, offensive line, knowing what the Bison had lost after the 2023 season, that Jake Kubas moving on to the National Football League, Jalen Sundell moving on to the National Football League. What were the Bison going to do up front? Well, Tim Polasek saw this guy in spring ball and told us this is a guy that could potentially be a difference maker, and he ended up being that. We're talking about Griffin Empey, young man out of Wisconsin who ended up starting 14 games last year for the Bison up front and became an All-America freshman selection last year. And you're saying, well, wait a minute, how can he break out? Well, he can be just a flat-out All-America this season. He started 11 games at left guard and then started 3 games at right guard after Jake Rock got hurt, and they moved the offensive line around with Pontius coming in. Empey just seemed like he fit in right from the get-go. Walk-on that came in, earned his stripes, and now, as the Bison offensive line looks in 2025, he's one of just 2 returning starters. The guy next to him in Trent Fraley is also known as a first-team preseason All-America pick. Empey at 6'3", 297. Was a state champion wrestler in Wisconsin before coming to NDSU, and he just seamlessly fit in. Seemed like he got better as the year went along. So when you're looking on that Bison offensive line, obviously they're going to have 2 new tackles and a new guard in 2025, and that's a topic we're going to hit hard and heavy in fall camp. There's no doubt about it, just knowing the fact of what NDSU lost 2 NFL tackles, a first-round pick in Zabel, and Mason Miller, who's an undrafted free agent, and obviously with Jake Rock moving on, there are questions there. This is not one of them. Empey will fit in wherever. Likely, I would imagine, back at the left guard spot where he started a majority of last season. So if you got left guard and center mapped out, that's a pretty good place to start from. So Empey we have at number 4 on our Bison breakout guys for 2025. Number 3, we're going back to defense. This is a guy I was told about when he committed. Like, boy, we're really excited we got this guy out of the Twin Cities. And redshirted in 2023. All the time when he was redshirting, I was told he's great. He's doing really well. He's going to be a good player for us. Last season, got a chance to get on the field, and he made plays in his spare time out there that he got. And now with the portal losses that the Bison have had, this guy is, I imagine, going to be a starter in 2025. I'm talking about Keenan Wilson at defensive tackle out of Eagan, Minnesota. And if you saw anything during spring football, this guy was making plays. 6'1", 282. Played 15 games last year, made 15 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and had 2.5 sacks. He made a splash in his collegiate debut. First game that he ever played for the Bison against Tennessee State last year. Came up with a sack and a fumble in that game. He added 3 tackles for a season high in the win against Abilene Christian. This is what he did against Tennessee State. He was an impact guy right off the hop. And now with Cody Heisman's departure to Virginia Tech, you have to think that next to Jackson Dutenheffer, you're going to see number 58 out there making plays. He's explosive. You can see he gets through and makes plays. And this is a spot at the middle of the defensive line where if you're really good, like the Bison were last year, you're going to win a lot of games. This is the first time since 2018 the Bison defensive line will not have a Mostart up there. Both Eli and Will are gone. Heisman gone. So they lost some serious production at the defensive tackle spot. There are going to be young guys to play here. I would think Zach Vanderpool is another candidate to get on the field, who'll be a redshirt freshman from Byron, Minnesota, who they really like, who, if you watched our spring broadcast, he was making plays. This is another one. He's got a potential to be I really think that. He's going to be all conference this year. If he is as good as has been projected and what he's done so far, Keenan Wilson's going to be an all-conference player for the Bison in 2025. He's number 3. Last 2 are on offense. Next guy up is the guy who played. He played a lot. He was an impact guy. So you're going to wonder, how can he break out? Well, they can throw the ball to him more. He can be even more of a factor on special teams. I'm talking about young man from Omaha and Jackson Williams, who burst on the scene last year. Became the first guy since Ryan Smith to have a punt return and kick return touchdown in the same season. He had 1 touchdown grab. This was it. against Missouri State, Cam Miller found him on senior day. Again, he was a freshman All-American last year at both punt and kick return. I think, and I know what the Bison have back at wide receiver, he can be a special player at the wide receiver spot this year. He had 8 catches for 128 yards and a touchdown. This one here against East Tennessee State, people will forget how big a play that was in the comeback there. It got called back by about 10 yards because of a penalty, but his ability to get loose, especially on special teams, you cannot discount it. This was the punt return touchdown he had against Towson. The kick return touchdown he had against Abilene Christian changed that game. The Bison were getting boat raced. They were down 17-3 before Williams turned on the afterburners and scored the 100-yard kickoff return. I know Bryce Lance is back. I know Raja Nelson's back. I know Chris Harris is back. I know Makai Collins is back. They're going to get this kid the ball. If you saw anything during our spring broadcast, Williams scored touchdown there, made a couple of highlight reel catches. Get ready for the Omaha to Omaha connection for the Bison this fall with Cole Payton to Jackson Williams. He's too talented not to make plays. I believe he's going to wear number 11 this fall as well. Jackson Williams, number 2 on our Bison breakout list in 2025. Lastly, it's not a skill guy we have number 1. So you can take out quarterback, take out running back, take out wide receiver, take out tight end. That only leaves offensive line. Left tackle is a pretty important spot. Maybe not as important this year because the quarterback is left-handed, so maybe the right tackle is more important. I think this kid has all the makings of being a really, really special player. We're talking about Bo Johnson, young man from Spring Lake Park, Minnesota, who has got the eyes of Bison fans on him this year because he is the projected left tackle to take over for Gray Zabel at a spot where NDSU has had 4 straight guys drafted into the National Football League out of that spot. Billy Turner, Joe Haig, Cody Mount, Dylan Radens, Gray Zabel, all those guys drafted into the National Football League. He is a huge dude. He's 6'6", 290. At least that was in the spring. I imagine he's probably going to be scraping 300 when fall camp begins here in a couple weeks. He has all the pressure on him now to be the guy. He played 8 games last year, missed a few after an injury that happened in mop-up time against Illinois State. He's just a sophomore. He was the first commit for the Bison class of 2023. There's something to that. You go back and look at the guys who were the first in the boat. Trey Lance would fit that category. Jackson Dutenheffer is in that category. Bo Johnson was the first in the class of 2023. Everybody I talk to of Twin Cities football coaches say the Bison got a really good one here. And they got in early. Minnesota was sniffing around, and Bo gave the stiff arm on that I'm committed, I'm coming to NDSU. He was a great basketball player and track and field athlete as well. Keep your eyes on him. So that's our list. Kelton McCaslin, Griffin Empey, Keenan Wilson, Jackson Williams, Bo Johnson. Those 5. Let's revisit this when we get to November. Mark it down here on July 17th. These are guys that had panned out or not for NDSU football for this upcoming fall. It's fun to talk about now as we're this part of the calendar. It's right around the corner. Those are young Bison we think to break out in 2025. We'll break. We come back. We'll shift gears and chat some golf. You'll meet NDSU's new golf coach, Ekren Miller, when Hot Mike rolls on a Thursday morning. We're back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning show rolls on. Hudsen Sheldon from Mandan, North Dakota, going to join us about a half hour about basically being Bo Jackson in North Dakota. We'll do that at the top of our second hour. Tim Bergstraser will also join us as well. Got a couple emails on our list that we'll read later on in the show. There was one hire, Jeff Kolpak was talking to us on Monday, that Matt Larson needed to make on his coaching roster to fill out after the retirement from Steve Kennedy as NDSU men's golf coach that happened in late May, early June. And after about a month's search, the Bison found a guy basically in their own backyard in Bemidji State, men's head golf coach Ekren Miller. And for those that follow golf in the area, that's not a unfamiliar name. Ekren has been head coach at BSU for 16 years and been biding his time. He was a former BSU all-conference golfer in the NSIC, so his entire life has basically been spent at Bemidji State. And now he's got a chance to coach at the Division I level with a team that brings back its ace, and Ryland Petrie's back for 2025-26. And for those that watched the Red River Amateur last month, they got to see Petrie up close as he captured the championship with 3 great days of playing golf. He was a former Bemidji State Beaver before he transferred to NDSU. I visited with Ekren late yesterday afternoon about getting the job, why he was interested in the job, and the challenges of going from D2 to D1. Here's our conversation from late yesterday.
It's one of those things that just nags at you and you say you just got to do it. And, if you got a calling, you got to go after it.
What is it about NDSU golf that was appealing?
I'm very familiar with this Midwest market recruiting. I've been losing guys to NDSU for 15 years. So I just knew, and, on a personal level, I know Ryland Petrie as he was our freshman star during our conference title here in 23. And things were lining up in a big way. And I just said, I have to go for it. And I'm very familiar with the success there.
You've done college golf for a long, long time, the Division II level. What are you excited about the Division I level, the challenges? I've talked to Ryland about that, about going from D2 to D1. What about for yourself, the challenge of that?
That's a great question because it's a whole different kind of coaching and recruiting, and the whole ball game just increased. And you've got scholarships, you've got Alston money, you've got NIL, you've got the collective. It's a different conversation. And so I felt very comfortable at the Division II level because I also did my doctorate research on what it takes to win at the D2 level. And so I talked to the coaches and what it takes to win. And it's different. And having been the site rep for regionals for the NCAA this year and then helping to run the national tournament, I felt really comfortable jumping into Division I and just saying, let's take on this level. And I'm really looking forward to that.
He mentioned to me about the changes in golf course. It's a different. What about that for you? About looking at, I know you've seen a ton of courses, but the challenge of playing and coaching now on Division I courses.
Sure, and it's an increase in skill level. It's also a yardage increase, and just everything's just a little bit more. So that'll be an adjustment.
You've been at Bemidji for so long. Did you feel like this was it? This was going to be my last stop?
You got to leave room for the unimaginable sometimes. And this is one of those cases. After winning a championship and, producing we had another conference champion this year. It was like, well, what more can we do here? And, so I just thought the timing's perfect for me because, at the Division II level, you're oftentimes coaching and you got a full-time gig you got to keep I call it support my coaching habit. So in this case, I get to just focus on that. And that's such a relief.
I was going to say the biggest challenge now, this is your full-time gig, recruiting, you're going to be playing all over the country. What excites you the most about the new job?
Oh, yeah. I mean, being able to just fully focus on it. I'm going to have to tame the side hustles. That's what I'm going to have to do here is, focus on it. But, when I look at the schedule, it's, night and day or the operating budget or whatever. I mean, you're flying to California, Oregon, Mexico, all over. And when you make regionals, you're going to go out and play Stanford. That's a different thing. So I'm looking forward to all of that and keeping the competitive ability going of the whole team. And yeah, there's a lot to look forward to.
I asked Rylan this after he won the Red River Am about what do we not know about the level of player maybe in Northwest Minnesota or Northeast North Dakota. You've recruited that area. What do people not know about how good the golf is in this part of the world, I guess?
Actually, yeah, per capita, Minnesota really has a lot of great players. I mean, if you were to take an all-star team from Minnesota, you could put it up against many of the top national teams. So Minnesota does produce a lot of top players, and it's kind of what you look at. Is it just raw talent or is it developing players? And I think the answer is both. And I just think with the facilities and all the resources available at NDSU, like to look at regional recruiting, getting Southern players and international players is a very real thing. But you never want to miss in your backyard.
Yeah. Coach Kennedy made that really important for yourself, knowing that how much you want to stress that of getting the guys, the good guys that play high school golf around the area to come to NDSU.
Oh, right. I mean, you just, those relationships are in place. I mean, to me, NDSU was like the cool Midwest team. Like, a lot of people want to go there, of course. And I just think the reputation precedes me at that. And I just need to continue that and be at those bigger tournaments and continue to make a name for NDSU golf.
It's middle of July here. You're going to start soon. What's the chat? Like, you got about less than a month. I mean, describe that of getting to know the guys and getting in. Like, what's the next few weeks look like for you?
Oh, wow. Yeah. At least in my interview, I did meet 4 of them, but I already, like I said, I've offered to some of them already back at Bemidji State. So I even got a text from one of the players saying, hey, it looks like we do get to play together. So, I feel like with the relationships, it's going to go pretty well. I don't see a lot of big bumps in the road with the team management, but there's a lot to do. I mean, definitely I'm, resigning and offboarding, and I got to close things up and leave in a professional manner here. And I cannot keep up with my phone today. I mean, it's outpouring and it's so exciting. I'm so excited.
Do you have an official first day, like when you're starting?
Yep. Yeah. August 1st.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's right into the deep end then, because you're playing golf, right? Like the end of the month?
Oh, yeah. But I was assured in the interview that everything's all set up, the schedule, the equipment, and there's so many people to just help out and lift for you that it's pretty plug and play. And they also warned me, like, Ek, don't come in and make a lot of changes. Like, that's not for you to do right now yet. Like, just go easy on it. So I'm ready to just learn at the next level first and then and keep going with it.
My last question for you, Ekren, just what do you think when you get to that first meet? You're the Division I men's golf coach at NDSU. What do you think is going to go through your mind?
It's a dream come true. I've worked really hard at the D2 level, and it's just it's going to be special because I tell my guys my favorite day of collegiate golf is watching you compete. And so I think that's going to be a proud moment, and maybe I'll save the tears until then.
That's good stuff. Appreciate him giving us a few minutes yesterday. And guy that's been waiting, you heard, he's been waiting his opportunity to be a Division I head coach, and he'll have that opportunity. And the Bison men's golf roster, just going over it, obviously Petrie's back, and he's the stud. He'll be a senior next season, who obviously Miller knows. He recruited him out of Fertile, Minnesota to come play golf at Bemidji before Petrie left to go to NDSU, and now is totally transformed his game. I mean, he was a Summit League first-team selection this past spring. Jake Scarperud is a senior, young man, the standout from Fargo Shanley. Max Wilson, young man from Roseau, another one that Miller knows, who Wilson was flirting in the top 10 at the Red River Ram back in June. Carter Spalding, Sean Moore, and Fargo's Gabe Benson are the returners. The Bison signed 2 incoming freshmen, both from the state of Minnesota. Carter White, who's from down the road here in Ferndale, and Andrew Below from Victoria will be joining the Bison men's golf roster for 25-26. So that's what he'll be working with. I'm really intrigued to see this guy who still plays competitively. He still plays the Birchmont up in Bemidji each year. That is well respected in the golf world in Northwest Minnesota, and he's got a heck of a crew coming back to work with. knowing full well that there'll be eyes on, certainly on Petrie, considering the kind of offseason he's had. He had a good start. The Minnesota State Open and wraps up today. Former Bison Andrew Israelson is actually tied for the lead at that event that's going on down in Rochester, Minnesota. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that today as well. See if we have another former local golfer winning that event, as Nate DeZiel did last year, 2 years ago. But it's the program's in good shape. It's about elevating itself to get back to the NCAA tournament. They've had first-team golfers. They've won events. It's about achieving that in the postseason is what Miller's charge is, I imagine, taking over that. We appreciate his time of coming on the show here this morning. We're due for a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up in our first hour. Big second hour plan. Excited about that. So roll on a beautiful Thursday morning edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. We're back right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Our thanks to Ekren Miller for giving us a few minutes there in our conversation. If you missed that, we'll podcast it later. So we're in summer months here, obviously. Basketball recruiting blowing up. Football recruiting is still hot as well. We've talked about this for a better part of a year now on the level of girls basketball players in North Dakota that are starting to really heat up. And all of them were either sophomores, freshmen, or eighth graders, that's the remarkable part of this, is how the talent is at an age where it's high and they're not juniors nor seniors in high school. Two that are really starting to blow up. Both were at the state basketball tournament this past March at the Dome at the AA tournament. The first is Bismarck Legacy's Marley Falcon, who this time last year got her first Division I offer from Jory Collins at NDSU. And then I happened to notice, what's today, Thursday? Tuesday night, she tweeted out that she had been offered by the University of Utah, which last I checked, Utah plays in the Big 12. She just wrapped up her sophomore season at Bismarck Legacy, can shoot the three at 6'2". She's that again. She may have elevated herself out of Summit League, North Dakota, staying around here kind of good. She might be the next one that could leave the state and be that good. Not surprised. If you watch the AA basketball tournament at all, that first game, Legacy played Horace, and Horace steamrolled pretty much everybody. That first game, that was probably their stiffest challenge they got from Legacy, was in that opening round game. Because Legacy has a couple Division I players. Obviously, Brooklyn Felkley, who's now signed and is going to be an incoming freshman at South Dakota State, and Marley's out there draining threes. There's some athletic talent on that team. Plenty has been made on Lake and Donnelly. Obviously, we know her, standout point guard for West Fargo Horace. Jordan Christopherson from Horace, who's also got a bunch of offers, and Jaden Hale, we know, is off to Gonzaga. They're not the only one. There's another out of Shanley who just wrapped up her freshman year playing for Beth Maher's team that we got to know last year as she got her first offer, I believe, after her 8th grade year. That the Bison, the Jacks were in, I believe the Coyotes as well. Riley Sievert tweeted out that she's been offered by Colorado State. And, of course, remember, Colorado State can use that graphic now that they're moving to the Pac-12. By the time that Riley has graduated, they're firmly in the Pac-12. As they move this time next year, they'll be a Pac-12 school. So I'm here to tell you that when we get around to basketball season in late November, early December, and I wrote about this at the state tournament, and I've talked about it plenty on this show, and you can find the article at inforum.com, with what we just witnessed this past graduating class, like McKenna Johnson, who from Mandan is going to play for the Bison. Jaden Hale is leaving and going from Horace to play at Gonzaga. This is just the start of it, folks. We're going to have this happen routinely, and they may be good enough and likely are going to be good enough that they're not sticking around. You'd like to see it, But if we got Utah, Colorado State, there are going to be others coming. University of Minnesota's been all over on Donnelly that embrace this, that we've got that level of talent now playing in North Dakota in girls basketball. And I know it's been good in the past, but we're at a different now where each team has maybe 1 to 2 players that are high Division I caliber. That's the part that we need to appreciate, step back, and like, holy cow, like this is a good time in North Dakota girls basketball. Where in the past, maybe you'd have one player probably in the state that was elevated itself to be a Division I player. Like when Emily Dietz was playing, Sarah Jacobson, those great Shanley teams that they had. You know, when Hannah Stewart was rocking at Bishop Ryan and ended up going, obviously, to Iowa, that was pretty good. Now, routinely, we're having conversation where if you go to a game in West Fargo on a Tuesday night in December and you've got Horace playing Shanley, you're going to have 3 to 4 Division I prospects on the floor combined. I mean, that just hasn't happened in North Dakota. It's now a reality. You know, out west with Minot's teams that are loaded, with the Frickies and the Bells that we've known for the last 3 or 4 years, right? That are finally graduating after this upcoming year. Facing the Centuries, who had players nonstop. Now it's routinely we're seeing on this side of the state as well. Heck, when they play each other, when the East faces the West, it's even better. It's a good time, folks. You may not pay attention to it. I'm telling you now. Start, because it's pretty darn good. We're due for a break. We come back. We'll start hour 2. Mandan's Hudsen Sheldon will join us on starring in 4 different sports and trying to pick a couple that he'll play in college. That's coming up when hour 2 of Hot Mic returns after this.
This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll on this Thursday morning. Tim Bergstraser, Denver men's basketball coach, joining us in about a half hour. I got a message into the inbox here about over a month ago, I want to say. I want to read it now because our next guest is on, so I'm going to completely embarrass him on the air. Hey, Dom, can you ever remember a North Dakota athlete from the highest level earn all-state honors in football, basketball, baseball, and win a state track title? Hudsen Sheldon would be a good guest for Hot Mic, just advocating for Western North Dakota. I saved that. I'm like, all right, well, we haven't had him on. It's my fault we haven't done it. So now, here we are, right before he's set for college, we get Mandan standout Hudsen Sheldon to join us here. So, okay, how in the world do you become all-state in 3 separate sports?
A lot of time for sure, and definitely not trying to cram everything into one day for sure, and definitely just taking time at each sport, each different time.
Yeah, that alone seems incredible. So first, tell me, do you have a favorite?
I would say over the last couple of years, football has kind of become my favorite.
Tell me about the run you had and just I know you want to talk about yourself, but excelling to have that level of success, how gratifying is that for you personally?
It definitely is. It makes me feel accomplished and just makes me really enjoy it more, with my teammates. And obviously I've had tremendous coaches throughout all my high school athletics, and it definitely brings me joy that, I can help them succeed and they help me succeed as well.
So are you just a guy who likes to be busy, just going nonstop? Just have you had, this is your first time you probably had you haven't had a break. You just got done with Lions All-Star basketball.
Yeah, no, definitely this wedding getaway is my little vacation, I guess you could say, but I definitely enjoy being busy for sure.
Your sister, you told me, is getting married this weekend?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mason.
So basically you have like 2 days off and then it's back to the grind?
Yep. 3 days in South Dakota and then we got a game Monday, baseball game Monday.
How have each of the sports helped you and others? Like for football, you play quarterback. How did basketball or baseball help you on the football field, in your opinion?
Well, I think that that baseball is a big teacher of, you can't get too high or can't get too low, because baseball is a very humbling game. You're gonna fail a lot, just like in football and basketball. So it's really helped me deal with kind of the adversity that you face. I think basketball, I feel like fast breaks really give off a lot of football vibes, kind of like the same, like reading the defense type thing. So I definitely think that those have all correlated.
So you were first team all basketball selection. I'm looking at the guys that are all playing. All these guys, I think for the most part, Hudsen, are going to go play basketball at the next level. You're not doing that. Tell me about that you excelled that much, and yet that's not maybe the sport that you decided to go down that road.
Yeah, I think that this last weekend in Fargo and Bismarck really showed me that there's levels to this, because the AA team had, I think it was me and Pierce Parse and Cam Klefstedt were the only three that aren't playing college basketball at the next level. And just the intensity of practice was just at way higher than I'd ever experienced personally. It just shows that they've really put some work into their craft. It's pretty good. It's pretty fun to watch.
We were just showing it. You had a couple dunks. Is that important to do that? Last time probably playing competitive basketball for a bit to get up and throw a couple down?
Yeah, for sure. I was joking around. That'd be the only way I'll be able to score. But it was definitely something that I thought about a lot, because it's just a great feeling. It's just something that I've always kind of taken pride in. So it was good to get a couple.
We're watching some football stuff. Your ability to get out of the pocket, make plays out of nothing. Describe that and what goes. And you mentioned the other sports. How does that help in being elusive and making something out of nothing?
I definitely think that playing shortstop definitely helps with that a little bit, being able to make throws on different platforms. And it's definitely got to give a lot of credit to my wide receivers. They early on, they kind of were, you could tell it was like, this play's getting long. They don't really think anything's going to happen much. But definitely over the years, they definitely started to understand that you're gonna get a chance. I'm gonna try and do something, whatever that may be, and that they gotta play till the whistle. So I gotta give a lot of credit to them.
I gotta ask. So you're going through high school. You're having success in multiple sports. Did it ever occur, hey, I got to choose one, or maybe I can do multiple at the next level? Give me that discussion or thought process when you went through that.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going into after my junior year, I really realized that I gotta it's gonna start getting serious, and I gotta probably pick one. And then I ended up going on a visit out at UMary, and they offered to do both. And then that kind of just I really hadn't put much thought into that. But then once they brought up that idea, I was kind of all in and set on that, to be honest. So it was definitely after my junior year I started to get more serious about what I wanted to do.
When Mary comes in, and obviously people wonder, and I wondered, I know we talked about it off air, but okay, staying close to home. Was that important, or was it a spot that allowed me to do two? Was it more important?
I think it was kind of a mixture of both. Staying close to home is never anything bad, for sure. For me personally, it wasn't a main thing to get away from home or stay close to home. But definitely it just kind of felt like everything kind of just like fell into place, close to home, being able to do two sports, and just like both my parents went to UMary too. So that's kind of that didn't play a huge role in it, but definitely something that I definitely thought about a little bit. So I think it worked out well.
All right. So you go on the visit, they say, hey, you can you can do football and baseball. So you come home. Is this like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to get another sweet opportunity like this to do both?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely came home and was like, well, this is Sheldon, all the paperwork that I didn't quite understand yet, but they definitely helped me through that. And they my parents played a major role in just kind of, they didn't really, how do I say it? So they didn't really like oversee it or anything, or really, tell me, this was, it was always, whatever you want to do, we're going to support you. And I think that's something that I'm very grateful for. I think I had a great support staff, from family, friends, and coaches, and it definitely played a role in making the decision smoother.
If there was an opportunity at a higher level, but you could only do one, was that something you were interested in, or not so much because you wanted to do multiple sports?
I definitely think that I definitely thought about that at a higher level, but I think that it just, at that time I was kind of set on doing two, and I think that just once the opportunity came up, I I liked it a lot and decided to go with it.
So we can't ignore track as well because you won I believe the high jump state championship as well. Is that just like in your free time because you're playing baseball? When did you have time to do track?
Well, my mom is the high jump coach. Which definitely made the, and then my uncle was the head coach, Todd. So it was to be honest, for high jump practice, for us at least, it's not very, how do I say this, hard on the body. It's not very, you're not gonna
stressing.
Spend 2 hours, doing high jump practice. So it was a lot of show up to practice maybe a little bit early, track practice a little bit early at like 3:45, 4 o'clock, high jump for probably like 30-minute practice, and then get out to baseball with Coach Mack.
So basically, I'm putting words in your mouth. You showed up, won, and left. That's what you're telling me?
Correct.
That's got to be infuriating for guys to compete all the time. Like, okay, this guy isn't even full-time track. He comes in and walks out with the crowd. I mean, that's some pretty good stuff, man. I know you probably got a lot of crap for that, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure. It's all the coaching, though. All coaching.
What in track, obviously you have familial ties in that, but again, the other sports helped you to do that, to go out and just basically come off the street and win the high jump?
Basketball, I think basketball really, when I figured out that I could dunk, I really started like there was a couple weeks where that was the only thing I worked on, which looking back on it was probably not the best idea. But I definitely think that the takeoff and just like the penultimate step, which is something that Coach Mandy likes to talk about, that definitely played a part in track. I definitely think it helped me jump better in basketball too.
All right, so I got to ask then, when did you figure out you could dunk? How old were you then? Was that recent or was that a while ago?
First time was going into my freshman year. TJ threw me a lob, so it wasn't a real dunk, but I counted it.
The excitement, the challenge now, Hudsen, of doing both sports at the collegiate level. It's one thing in high school. This is Division II. This is the NSIC. You know the league. I mean, we know it. The level of competition is really, really stiff. Describe the challenge of what's ahead, both not just physically, but mentally. Obviously, you're balancing school as well. This is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think it's definitely it's going to be exciting, along with some, nervousness, a little fear, maybe you could say. But I think just good communication with the coaches and definitely professors too. Now that you say that, been on to school over the summer, but yeah, definitely communication with everybody's going to be a major role, and then just getting where I'm supposed to. Todd always says you got to be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be with the level of enthusiasm that allows you to be successful. And I think that's always kind of stuck with me. So it's kind of just show up on time, be there, just do what you can to help the team. I'm definitely excited.
I have to ask, you're doing football in the fall. Do you think there's time to get away to just play catch baseball wise, or is it's football nonstop and I'll throw in the winter months?
I'm sure there'll be some downtime, probably not a whole ton. I haven't really ironed out the schedules yet, but I'm sure there'll be time somewhere. I'm sure.
Now, see here, I'm thinking you got baseball going in the spring. Does that mean you can get out of spring football?
Guess it's a question for someone else and a question for a later date.
When you told people about this, what was their reaction? Either friends, family members, hey, I'm going to go do this. What was the normal reaction you got?
To be honest, a lot of it was no basketball.
Yeah.
That was usually what most people said, and I didn't understand how to answer at that time, but now I realized that spending some time with the Lions All-Stars, like those guys, they're on a whole different level. And I saw it right away at practice. I saw it and especially with Manson and Madner coaching, that was also just, those are two of the all-time greats. And it's just, there's levels to this, and they're above me.
To have this now be a reality, like it's coming pretty soon, what are you most excited about? And just, okay, this is the next level for me.
I'm excited to get on campus and just get to know these new teammates. We do got a lot of local guys coming
Yep.
to Mary, so that's exciting for sure to get on campus and already have, some guys that you're already kind of close with. Definitely excited to meet new people and just get to work.
I have to ask, obligated when I talk Mandan football, how big a deal still is Jackson Dutenheffer in Mandan, even though he hasn't played there in a bit? How big a deal is that name around Mandan High?
Huge. It's huge. He's got a picture. We got a wall kind of collage of pictures downstairs, kind of by the weight room and gym. I think he's on a couple of them, and he's definitely mentioned in the weight room a lot for sure.
Also, I'm obligated, since you played football at Mandan, you guys played Davies, I think, twice again this year. You live the rivalry now. What is that like between why is there such a rivalry with Mandan and Fargo Davies?
I think it's just the recency of just playing each other in the playoffs so much. And it hasn't always been, one side. I know Mandan got him, I think when Dutenheffer was there a couple of years back, but it's just it's not fun to play them. I can tell you that from just an offensive perspective, it's not fun sitting on the sideline for minutes at a time.
Now that you're out of it, the biggest WDA rival for you guys is whom?
Oof. I would love to say Century, but I don't think, in basketball at least, I don't think we ever got them. So I'm probably gonna go with BHS.
Okay.
Those games were always a little on the chippy side, but it was definitely a lot of fun.
Are those games also like 198 every time you guys play Bismarck?
Yes, always high for sure.
I really appreciate the time, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. I know you got a busy weekend. Congratulations on a great, great high school career. We look forward to watching you play in the NSIC coming up, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it, Dom.
Thanks, bud. Hudsen Sheldon joining us from Mandan, North Dakota. Again, all-state selection in football, basketball, baseball. He won the state championship in the high jump. He was the WDA Senior Athlete of the Year in basketball. That's pretty impressive. And again, he's going to go play football and baseball at the University of Mary out in Bismarck. Good dude, good kid. And that's some athletic genes there. The fact that he could basically warm up for a half hour and then go win the high jump, that's that's like Carl Lewis kind of stuff. Like Carl Lewis would be an unbelievable sprinter, then show up, win the high jump, and leave because he wouldn't win the long jump and leave. Just crazy. Congratulations to Hudsen. And I appreciate the email we got on that to get him on the show. Thanks for watching and listening to the show. And appreciate Hudsen giving us a few minutes there. We'll break. We got some breaking Summit League news to share. It's not realignment, but it is basketball related. We'll share that when Hot Mike returns on this Thursday morning. We're back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning show rolls on. I teased some breaking news out of our last segment. The email came in. A little loud in the headphones there. From the Summit League. Announcement that the Summit League basketball tournament, which we know contract was going to be up at the end of this coming year, to stay in Sioux Falls, has announced that the basketball tournament will remain in Sioux Falls through 2029. Sioux Falls and the Denny Sanford Premier Center have been tremendous hosts for our basketball championships for over a decade, and we're thrilled to announce this extension. We're grateful for the partnerships with the city and Premier Center, along with the support shown by our passionate fans and broader corporate community. That's from Summit League Commissioner Josh Fenton with an official statement there on the announcement of the tournament returning. Now, with this full extension through 2029, that means the tournament will be in Sioux Falls for 2 full decades. It moved there in 2009 when North Dakota State men's team won it to go to the NCAA tournament for the first time. Now, there had been, I know, efforting. We talked with Fenton about this when we were in Sioux Falls when I was there in March. when we were there in Media Day last October about the future of the tournament and where it could potentially go and what other cities would be interested. I know Minneapolis was brought up a couple times about potential to host the tournament. Would it go Kansas City, somewhere, more regionally located for all the teams? But to me, it would seem silly that they would ever leave Sioux Falls. The amount of people that go to this event, and again, I cannot stress enough, if you've never gone, find it this coming March to get down there because it's fantastic. And plus, now they've accommodated to you. Now they're going to have it on the weekend to wrap it up like they did this past year. They had the championship games played on a Sunday for the first time. And attendance, granted, for the men's title game without South Dakota State in it. I don't know. It suffered, no doubt. It was St. Thomas playing Omaha in the men's championship. But if you look, like, this is the game the Bison men played South Dakota. Was packed. Granted, the Jackrabbit men were playing in the game after on a Friday night. Was dynamite. SDSU played UND the game after that, and that was the night that Eagle staff went off and scored 50 points. Was fantastic. The women's basketball championship game attendance of 8,417 in 2024. That was last year when the Jacks played the Bison on a Tuesday afternoon at, what time did that start, Eric? 3 o'clock, I think, in the afternoon, 2:30, something like that on last year in 2024. Trailed only the Big Ten, the SEC, and the ACC, and was just shy of the Summit League record of 8,704, which was set in 2018. That was the year the Jacks and the Coyotes played for the conference championship. This past year, the women's tournament topped 30,000 for the second consecutive season, and the men's hit that mark for the 9th time in 10 tournaments at the Premier Center. If you've, again, I can't stress enough, if you've not gone and you're a basketball fan, all I can ask is, what are you doing? Find a way to get down there. And especially now, the tournament this year will go Wednesday to Sunday again. And it's fantastic. It really is. And I can only hope, as long as St. Thomas remains in the league, that more St. Thomas fans come. We saw it this past year that, even the one day I was there, since the Bison men's and women's teams both lost on the same day, that you saw some Tommies fans there and understand they were ineligible. St. Thomas's women's team won a game in the first round. Or no, they lost in the first round to UND. The men's team obviously made it to the championship. That you got to see a little bit more purple. I would hope they would come. The other schools, I think Denver, leading to our next guest, which is a perfect segue, with the local Minnesota connections they now have on that roster, you're going to see some probably more Denver fans show up just because now of where that roster is made up of. SDSU goes without saying. The Jacks fans make it what Frisco has become for Bison football in the FCS championship game. For the life of me, I cannot figure out why NDSU and UD fans don't go. I cannot. This past year, sitting there, and the Bison women were playing on a Friday afternoon against Kansas City, and just a smattering of fans, and there was just a handful more for the men's game. On a Friday night, I don't know how to explain that. Especially the Bison men won 20 games. They were not a bad team. The Bison women finished third. They won 20 games as well. That's something I've spent too much airtime on. I can't explain it. That they're willing to drive 18 hours for football, but 3.5 is a bridge too far for basketball. Someone make that make sense to me, and you're a smarter person than I. USD has done really well. I think the Coyote fans, certainly when the women's team was humming a few years ago, that when Don Plitzelwhite was head coach and they were routinely beating South Dakota State, the Coyote fans showed up, and they were there pretty good for the men's team, and before they lost to Omaha. Omaha showed out. Oral Roberts, when they were dominant that year that they didn't lose a game, they had a good section of fans. That's a ways to go. Kansas City doesn't bring anybody. Frankly, Omaha, not so much. because they really haven't been very good. Denver, no. That may change now with the guy who's running the ship on that. But I would say I'm less worried about those schools. I'm more inclined as like, okay, what's going on with the North Dakota schools, and why are their fans so reticent not to go? I don't understand that. Mayor Paul Tenhocken from Sioux Falls says, we're beyond excited to be welcoming the Summit League and its fans back to Sioux Falls for 3 more years. This is an incredible sporting event that puts Sioux Falls in a national spotlight. We're grateful for the opportunity to showcase our city and are grateful to the league and schools for trusting us with this event. Sioux Falls makes it a big deal. If you're down there, there are signs all over the place. They make it their Super Bowl down there, which they should. It's to go to the NCAA basketball tournament. For the first time when I went down there in 2009, when the Bison went to the NCAA tournament, you got a sense, and this is at the old arena, the old Sioux Falls arena, like, this is cool. It's a big deal. They wanted to make a big deal. And in the years I've gone a total, I think, of 6 times I've been down there. They make it a really big deal. It's fun. And it would take a huge act to get it out of Sioux Falls. Like, people thought about Tulsa again. It was in Tulsa. Nobody went. It stunk. The year before the Bison and the Jacks got into the league, I remember they were in the league. They were ineligible to go to the tournament. Make that make sense now in 2025 when St. Thomas was in it and nearly won it. 2008, I was because George Hill was a senior at IUPUI that year. They lost to Oral Roberts. That was on. It wasn't on campus. It was in some building in Tulsa. Nobody was there. It was like every other mid-major conference tournament that you see on television. Sioux Falls, when it's on television, you look at the women's championship game. Even this past year when the Jacks played Oral Roberts, plenty of butts in the seats. The men's game, understood. It was Omaha and St. Thomas. There were still plenty of actually Jackrabbit fans that still go. They love basketball that much, they would still go. Maybe that's it. Maybe the appetite for basketball isn't the same up here. I'm sure that's probably a little bit of it, but I see the crowds at the Shack. They're pretty good. They does not translate to people getting in their cars and going down there. But that's the news, that the Summit League tournament is remaining in Sioux Falls for the next 3 years, which is a perfect segue for our next guest, who will be bringing his team to Sioux Falls for the first time. Tim Bergstraser will join us on the other side of the break about taking over as the head coach of the Denver Pioneers. That's coming up when we come back on Hot Mic after this. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on a beautiful Thursday morning. Corey Provis will join us tomorrow, talk some Twins. Brad Schlossman also will join us tomorrow, chat some UND hockey. We haven't cut UND hockey in forever with Brad. We'll get updated on that. That last story we're talking about on the Summit League's basketball tournament remaining in Sioux Falls seemed like they knew who our next guest is going to be. I am impressed, though, that he didn't give me the Aaron Rodgers lose my number when I texted him yesterday to try to get him on the show, because he was a staple on our show all winter long. The last couple of winters, he's been a staple on our show, and then he goes and gets a Division I job, and thankfully he's still answering my calls, because the new men's basketball coach at the University of Denver is one Tim Bergstraser, who joins us this morning. We've not talked since he got the job, so first, congratulations, and second, thanks for not losing my number. I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's been a fun run here so far, and when I saw all caps Dom Izzo popped up my phone, I had to respond as quick as possible, of course, jump right on it.
Well, first, just give us back through the hiring process. When the season ends, and we talked, and I think at least I wasn't naive enough to think that there were going to be people calling you. What was that whole process like, and what stood out about Denver to say, this is the right opportunity?
Yeah, well, it happened very quickly. It kind of came out of nowhere, and I was aware, obviously, that it opened, and it was a spot that I've had my eye on, just in Colorado in general. And I mean, I've always, to be all serious, it's just like the Summit League in general. But the AD, someone informed me that, like, hey, be ready for your phone call here soon tonight. The AD called me. We talked on the phone for a while, and then he's like, all right, I'm going to come up to Fargo in a couple days. I was like, okay, sounds good. Met at a Caribou, and we talked it up there. And then a couple more days after that, he's like, all right, I'm going to fly you out to Denver. So I was like, sounds great. And had the panel interview, and a couple days after that, we got it done. Unofficially, we got it done.
Yeah.
So It happened within like a week, basically.
So where was the Caribou? Can you disclose that, where the meeting went down?
There's the one on 45th. If I remember, 45th out there. So, yeah, we sat down. I mean, it was just a very informal sit down just to get to know each other. I mean, Burlow, he's outstanding at what he does. I mean, I've gotten to know him obviously so much more in this process, but I could just his vision aligned with mine and just who he is and who I am. I think that was very similar. And there's a lot of similarities in my opinion to how MSUM operated and how DU operated, and that we're blue collar people. We work under the radar, and we're not too caught up in just the flashy stuff. So that the more people I met throughout the process, the more people I talked to, and the more they educated me on DU, and the more research I did, I just understood, like, man, it's all about fit. That's just how it is in recruiting too. And it felt like the right fit all around. And obviously I fit what they wanted to. So, and then it was fortunate to get it done. But I mean, the more I just got onto campus and the more people I met, I just knew it was a no-brainer on my end.
Tim, what do we not know about Denver basketball? We've seen them. Obviously, they've played North Dakota State for the last decade out there. Why do you think this is an opportunity where they haven't really, frankly, been really good in basketball? Why do you feel like you can make them a contender in the Summit League?
Well, I don't want to come off like I have all the answers, because I definitely don't. I'm still learning, and I'm going to get smacked in the face a couple times this year and just be like, wow, I just wasn't ready for that. I mean, that's just part of coaching, but I just do know at DU from especially so we brought all 4 of the MSUM guys onto campus, that we're bringing, and I didn't really get the full tour before they even got to campus. So I went on the tour essentially with the MSUM guys. But as we're all walking around, it's like, man, this place is just gorgeous. And when you walk into the middle of campus, it has that wow factor when you're here. And you got the mountains, the big city surrounding it. I mean, the location of our university, it's just got a really good feel to it. And it's very attracting. And any guy that we brought to campus, with their families as well, they were in awe of just how nice of a spot this is, and just how nice people are and how they treat each other. So that's it's been very comforting in that aspect, because I do feel at home here. I love who I'm around. I love who I get to work with. I think we have incredible resources here, and I think that's going to allow us to have a chance for success. But it's not going to promise or guarantee us nothing. But I really do believe how we sold stuff at MSUM. I feel like we could do that pretty similar here.
So you get hired, and then obviously you got to the portal's wide open. You got to figure out your roster. When you get the job, do you know how many guys were actually on the Denver roster when you took the job?
So when my name got announced, I think a handful of them entered the portal, and then eventually it just turned into, all right, we knew we had. Because that was my big, not frustration, but just I was getting antsy of all right, I need to know what I have. Yep. Give me my depth chart. Here's what I have so I can attack in recruiting, me and my staff. So essentially we ended up having 4 coming back, 3 returners and a high school guy coming in. So then we brought 4 MSUM guys with, and then after that, we had to go get 7 more guys. So it's, but that's to my personal opinion, that's the fun part. And there's frustrating times. It happens. You deal with these agents, the handlers, and all that. And I knew what I was getting into. And there's a little bit of that at the D2 level as well. But it's kind of fun when that's how Walthall was to me when I was an assistant too. He's like, all right, here's what I need. Go get it. And I was like, sounds good. And I'll just go to work and I'll hit the phone. So that was kind of the same aspect here. We knew what we needed to target. We hit the phones really hard. The thing that stunk a little bit is we were coming in near the end of the portal.
Right.
So that made it difficult. But in my opinion, there's always a way. You always find a way. No one's going to feel bad for you. So we just thankful we got a really good staff, and we had a lot of war room sessions here in my office, and I'm really happy with how our roster panned out to be.
For the guys that came with you from Moorhead, was that a conversation you initiated with them, or they came to you say, hey, I think I can play Division I? How did that all go down?
Yeah, so when I basically knew that it was a done deal before it was officially announced, I informed them. I wanted to make sure that they knew officially, and then I obviously had that conversation openly of just hey, that's you're a no-brainer at this level, and I really believe you could play here, and I would be comfortable in my transition if they were to come with me, because they know how I operate, they know our standards, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel of
Yeah.
how we've done things. There'll be some minor adjustments, but when you have guys that understand how you do things, I think that's going to make things a smoother transition. Even like me bringing, Spencer Bland with, that's another guy. Like just overall, like if all those people weren't coming with me, I would have still been confident in our abilities to make it work, but it's made it a lot more smooth in this process. So they jumped right on it. They bursted out laughing and smiling. They're obviously very happy for me, and it's comforting when you have guys that like they didn't second guess nothing. It's like, yep, I'm coming with you. So I think that just shows we did things the right way.
So the people who were afraid that Carson Johnson may go Division One, he went Division One. He went with you. I mean, we were talking about that last year about how well he's playing. Now he is going to be a Division One player. There's got to be some satisfaction in that you recruited these guys initially, that they also now get a chance to play at the top level.
Yeah, and in our recruitment process, when we're going after all these high school guys, I mean, our mindset is let's go get D1 type players.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know if you want to compete in the NSIC, you need those kind of guys if you want to have a chance to be near that top part of it. So it worked out in the transition, and it's all a mindset. I know we recruited just the right way of who they are mindset wise. They just work so stinking hard. They don't get caught up in the wrong things, and that just proved them coming to MSU. They didn't care about a level at that time. So just me having the opportunity to step up in this at the Division I level, they were comfortable to follow me too. So they're special players, they're special human beings, great in the classroom all around, man. It's a DU type person.
Is your roster set? Are you good? Or are you still adding right now?
We're all done. Yep, roster's all done. We got right to it. I think a lot of people were surprised. I mean, especially like the first day when I was officially announced after my press conference, like I was pushing the buttons a little bit, like, all right, we need to get this done. And then they're like, hey, you're not messing around. You're trying to win fast. And I was like, hey, I just want a chance. We need to create a roster. That's like the first thing we need to do. Bring in our kind of guys, and there's no time to waste. And the biggest thing is how quickly could we just build a very competitive roster.
Where do you get a sense the biggest challenge of that? Of now you're going through, I know you had off-season workouts are going on. This is the first time you're getting to be on the floor with at least 11 of these guys. I know 4 of them you know really well. What's the challenge now between here and the end of September when practice starts?
I don't think it's much of a challenge. Like the fun part about bringing in transfers for me and my journey so far is putting the pieces together. So, in the summer, I like to think we use it to our advantage. That's a new part for me. So I'm trying to learn that aspect a little bit more. And I'm used to starting like full go in like end of September. Like that's usually when I do it. And I've always thought that's been plenty enough.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to overkill it this summer. It's very necessary we hit the weights extremely hard and get our bodies right to where they need to be. But it's just a really good opportunity for us to just teach and educate our team on how we want to play. And that's just helped me as a coach, like just understand, like, let's break down our system a little more in depth. And, how do I really want to break this down to our team and present that to them? But, as we get into like the season, that's what me and my self-talk, I'm very curious, what's to come. Because that's my biggest curiosity when they're like, what am I going to learn? And I'm going to be very ready for it. I'm going to analyze. I'm going to try not to overanalyze like a lot of coaches do. But I just want to see that, because I know by the end of this year, I was like, all right, that was new for me. How did I respond? And now how do we get better from it?
How eager, before I let you go, how eager are you to see that Summer League schedule, see when you come into Fargo and Grand Forks, get a chance to come back closer to home?
I'm very antsy to see that thing. I want to see it because I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around this new process, but it's, we're never going to look too far ahead, but let's be real. When you get to play those Dakota teams that I've been so familiar with, that'll be pretty fun to be actually on the court now coaching against them.
Last thing for you, just any message or how you left MSUM. Tell me about what an impact the school had on you.
Oh man. You want to see me tear up right now on air or what, man? MSU, they did so much for me. I tried to make sure that they understood that. Ever since I was a knucklehead GA, I came into such a great opportunity with Walthall and Wick and all those players that were there in that moment too. I knew what I was getting into as a GA, and I just didn't take it for granted. Yep. And then, they just continued to give me the chance to move up to as an assistant, to move up to as a head coach. And all I tried to do is make sure I put that program in university first. And I just continued to pray and make sure that I poured everything I had in that university because I had a lot of pride in that place. But MSUM does it the right way. And I know I'm so optimistic for that place and town that 5-10 years from now, man, it's gonna be oh man, like everybody's gonna want to be there. So just when it comes to all the players, the coaches, the department administration, like it's a very home field spot. And I mean, anybody that should want to go there should be proud to be there. But I mean, I love that place to death. I love the people. I mean, they've done so much for me, and I'll never forget that.
It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. I'll see you at Media Day in October, okay?
Can't wait. Look forward to it.
Good
Appreciate
to see you, bud. There he goes. Tim Bergstraser, now the head coach at Denver of their men's basketball team. The Pioneers with 4 guys that came from MSUM with them. Be really interesting to see what happens with them this upcoming year. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things and get you ready for a moderately busy Sports Thursday. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Thursday morning. Again, tomorrow, Corey Provis will join us from Denver. The Twins open up the second half of the baseball season against the Rockies. We'll also have Brad Schlossman join us. A couple other fun things we're going to do on the show tomorrow. So looking forward to that to wrap it up. And then don't forget, we'll tease this pretty heavy tomorrow on the show. We'll be in Sioux Falls on Monday for Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day. We'll give you the lineup of guests we're going to have on the show for Monday. We'll do that tomorrow. Also, we're pretty pumped. I am. I can't speak for everybody. I'm pretty pumped about this new show that we're going to debut on Sunday night at 10:35, right after the news, called The Sit Down. We did a handful of these last year for web only. The powers that be said, hey, we could open up a few Sundays for you, and we're really excited about that. I'll give you a little bit more details what that entails, but that's starting this Sunday night for the next 4 Sundays. If you didn't get enough of me for 2 hours every day, how about a half hour on Sunday nights for the next month? And then we get to our Bison football preview shows, and then we're on to football. So we'll give you the full details on that coming up tomorrow on the show. We got a couple emails in on the Summit League Sioux Falls deal. Dom, it most certainly is a no-brainer. Sioux Falls is an incredible basketball host, has won one forever. Another, NDSU is a football school, and the fans show it. Everybody knows when and who they play. Basketball is another story. Most people don't have a clue who they're playing and when. That includes some of the so-called sports bars in Fargo. Almost every TV is on NDSU. Basketball is another story, just my observation. I would tend to disagree with that, just the amount of people that go to the games. Attendance is still pretty darn good. It doesn't translate to getting to from Shields Arena to the Premier Center. I'm not sure. Like, the Summit League has made it easier for you now. They play on the weekend. I was fully with you. If they were playing on a Monday and a Tuesday night, it sucked. But even for one night, though, I can still see, hey, they're playing to go to the NCAA tournament. Get in your car, go to the game. Because a bunch of people did do that. Eric did that at least 2 or 3 times. I know he went and did it. People can do it. I don't buy that, but let's see if the Bison teams make a run this year and play on the weekend, unlike this past season, if people will go. I think I have my answer on that, but probably not. Real quick, before we get to what to watch, tough day for our guy, Tom Hoagie. In the clubhouse, shot 10 over today. Currently, he's next to last, shot a 10 over 81. It's been a long time since he shot over 80. But that might be a day to break every club in the bag. That was a frustrating day at the Open Championship, which first round is going on. Jacob Skov-Olsen, Hatong Ling, and Matt Fitzpatrick tied for the lead at 4 under par over at the Open Championship. All right, let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. Speaking of which, the Open Championship going on now. You can flip it on USA after we're done. We got CFL football tonight. Toronto and Montreal. Alouettes taking on the Argos. 6 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. 6:30 on CBS Sports Network. And from the Women's Euro Championship, Sweden and England, 2 o'clock on Fox. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Ekren Miller, to Hudsen Sheldon, and Tim Bergstraser. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Hope everybody has a great Thursday. Get out and enjoy that weather. We'll see you back here tomorrow to wrap the week on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. Have a great Thursday, everybody. Thanks for watching.